5 replacements for Granit Xhaka at Arsenal. Welcome to the Premier League review. Today, we're going to be taking a look at 5 options to replace Granit Xhaka as he looks set to leave Arsenal. Arsenal have been fantastic this season in the Premier League, but have stuttered in the last few months of the season. One potential position that could be upgraded is that number 8 role. For Arteta's Arsenal, Granit Xhaka has been facilitating that role this season to really good effect, being directly involved in over 10 goals plus assists in the Premier League. The role is in twofold. At times, Xhaka's used in the build-up to overload the opposition, but mostly spends his time in the inside left position, playmaking, linking with the likes of Martinelli and Jesus and rotating with positions. If the 9 drops, Xhaka and Odegaard could play high, or even just Xhaka high with Jesus and Odegaard in those positions. So this player needs to be a really complete footballer, a player that's capable of playing basically 9, 10, 6 and 8 all in one player. So let's take a look at the news, of course, reported by Fabrizio Romano that Granit Xhaka is set to join Bayer Leverkusen in the summer with a contract agreed until 2027. I think that's something that Arsenal probably wouldn't been able to offer the Swiss international. Granit Xhaka's been decent for Arsenal this season, but I definitely think there is room for improvement. With Fabrizio Romano saying Arsenal will insist on Declan Rice as the main priority. So the first option we're going to take a look at today is Declan Rice in this Granit Xhaka role. Of course, Declan Rice in recent weeks in the Premier League and in the Conference League has been absolutely brilliant for West Ham United. Declan Rice, of course, came through at Chelsea playing either as a centre-back or into that defensive midfield position. But he's really grown at West Ham United, playing at academy level there, but also into the first team as very much a defensive midfielder. For West Ham United, over the years, Rice started as kind of the traditional number 6, allowing Thomas Souček to move into the advanced areas and play the box-to-box role. But in recent years, we've seen it kind of evolve in a sense of Souček holding a little bit more, and also someone like Lucas Paquetá dropping back into defensive midfield from number 10 to allow Rice to advance and get into those attacking areas. I think the big thing with Declan Rice is absolutely perfect. He was in our recent video, 3 players that Arsenal should sign to win the Premier League next season. So if you want to see a little bit more of a technical and tactical breakdown, go and check out that video. But in terms of what Declan Rice is, he's very much growing into that complete player. Strong, athletic, extremely durable, in a sense, is in the top 10 minutes played in the Premier League this season. I think that's something that Granit Xhaka has done well for Arsenal, is kind of stay fit. And it's an important, role within the Arsenal team. I think one of the problems that Arsenal have had is when they've lost their first teamers, such as the likes of, Zinchenko, they've lost to Martinelli, maybe not Jesus as much as the other guys, but William Saliba especially, Arsenal's levels have dropped. So Arsenal need a player that's going to be robust, that's going to be able to play week in, week out in the Premier League, and that's exactly what Declan Rice is. Not only that, Declan Rice is fantastic on the ball. His ability to not only switch to play, but play intricate passes is absolutely fantastic. It's something that he's really grown with this season. Frequently has over 90% pass accuracy for West Ham United. Is top for touches, passes into the final third, progressive passes, all the statistics that you want a kind of midfielder to have. And I think that will open up a number of balls for Arsenal. I think one of the things that I'd like to see more of them is maybe dropping that pass from the left-sided number 8 position out to Saka to create 1v1s. We know how good Saka is at going on the outside, going on the inside, getting shots away when receiving switches, but that's something that we'd like to see a little bit more for Arsenal from next season. In terms of, Rice in an attacking sense, of course, traditionally more of a defensive midfielder, you'd probably say, but he's really growing in terms of the statistics year on year. Compared to last season, his shot numbers per 90 shot up by 25%, same with his key pass numbers, and his expected assists in the Premier League has doubled this season, suggesting that with Mikel Arteta's coaching and his ability to get the best out of players, those numbers would only improve. But I think the biggest part of his game that's improved this season, 4 Premier League goals, the most in his career. But the interesting side with that is a lot of those have come in recent weeks, but also he scored some pretty big goals for West Ham United. They've had a bit of a weird season, competing on 2 fronts in Europe as well as domestically, and that has really hurt their form, currently 14th in the Premier League. But the recent game that we want to talk about, the Leeds United game, I think really showcased the new Declan Rice, in a sense of next to Thomas Souček in that central midfield area, but operating sometimes high, sometimes low, but statistically coming out on top. He's got a really good goal with a late move to the back post and open play. Jarrod Bowen crossing from the right side to the back stick for Declan Rice to finish. This is something that he's added to his game, and something that Granit Xhaka does for Arsenal is attack the box when the ball is on the right-hand side of the pitch. You know, he's arguably the target in that penalty area for crosses, something that Declan Rice could really do. Scored against Leeds United, completed 90% of his passes, 5 out of his 7 long passes completed, 3 shots, 2 out of his 3 dribbles completed, 3 clearances as well, doing that defensive work, but also operating very much on that left-hand side. And I think that would be beneficial for Arsenal in that kind of, you know, the fluid side of it. I think at times we see Zinchenko in that inside position too frequently, and what Arsenal need to do, like City do, or City did with Joao Cancelo and Ilkay Gundogan, is rotate who takes that deep position, so the playmaking is a little different. And that's something that Rice could do at times. You could see Zinchenko in the inside left position, playmaking, with Declan Rice being more of a ball player. Rice is very, very comfortable on the ball, which adds more fluidity to this left-hand side, which could also see Martinelli take up those kind of narrow positions as well, with Zinchenko playing as a traditional winger. I think that fluidity needs to improve on the left-hand side. We see that a lot with the right triangle, with Saka, White and Odegaard, but we don't see as much rotation. It's more fixed, with Xhaka taking the inside role and then Zinchenko inside. I think with Rice, you can add that kind of fluidity in there. Not only was it the goal against Leeds United recently in the Premier League, but Declan Rice scored a really, really important goal against Ghent in the Conference League, which kind of killed the game. You know, at that point, it was 2-1. Paquetá just scored a penalty, but 3 minutes later, Rice scoring, assisted by Paquetá. Brilliant performance, a goal, 91% pass accuracy once again, 3 out of his 4 long passes, 2 out of 2 of his dribbles, 4 shots, 4 out of his 4 tackles, 100% of his duels. Declan Rice is the ideal player to come in and replace Granit Xhaka. But let's take a look at a few other options. Again, I think Rice is number one. You know, whether it's 100 million, 93 million, you know, that's the fee that Arsenal should really play. But there's other options on the market. You know, let's start off with a player that's not featured much in the Premier League this season, but again would add real quality, goals and creativity, and that's Mason Mount. Chelsea this season have been absolutely rotten, and Mason Mount hasn't played much football this season in comparison to last season. He's just made 20 starts in the Premier League, not many minutes compared to last season. 27 starts, 32 games played, 11 goals and 10 assists. I think what Mason Mount would bring to this Arsenal team would be goals from that attacking midfield position. I think he's a really underrated finisher, quite composed in the penalty area. You know, whenever he's kind of, you know, put the ball in the back of net from, you know, those types of areas, when he's in the box, it's always composed, always be a little jink and then a side-footed finish. I think that's something that would be kind of massively advantageous versus Granit Xhaka. I think Mount's got far more composure and goal-scoring ability. You know, 11 goals and 10 assists last season is a great return. And if Arteta can get him near to those numbers, that's quality. You know, Mount is a good chance creator, very good passer of the football, can also be involved in, you know, that kind of deep build-up, as we mentioned previously, that I think is kind of important in the role. You know, when he started playing under Frank Lampard at Chelsea and at Derby, was deep, was getting on the ball, was controlling things, you know, from a perspective of off the ball as well, which is also something Granit Xhaka did superbly well in terms of, you know, pressing and harrying his opponents and so forth. You know, Mason Mount is a very active presser, so would be high. Could leave Martin Odegaard playing a little deeper maybe in the Arsenal press, depending on what the opposition, how they're set up, because at times we see Odegaard being in the, you know, the sort of striking position. Maybe it could be Mount, Jesus, Odegaard at 10, and then the wide players narrow as we see Arsenal kind of press in that diamond shape would be quite good. But I do think it's, you know, it's the goals and assists that would be massively beneficial for Arsenal. You know, on the ball, the creativity, corners as well, another part of Mason Mount's game that's really good, gets a lot of assists from closed play, from free kicks that are wide, from set pieces, and with his contract set to expire in 2024, could be available for relatively cheap, be a big upgrade, and would help Arsenal out. In terms of a kind of like-for-like replacement, I think, you know, both Declan Rice and Mason Mount are different kind of characteristics to, you know, you'd say Granit Xhaka. One player that could come in that would do a very, very similar job would be Atalanta's Cope Miners, a player that has been excellent since moving to Italy. Was more of a playmaker at AZ Alkmaar at times. He played as a libero or as a playmaking centre-back in their back three structure. So he's capable of playing that deeper role, but recently for Atalanta he's playing more of an attacking midfield role. Left-footed, similar to Granit Xhaka, is as aggressive as Granit Xhaka, defensively solid, technically superb. superb. Retaining that ability that Granit Xhaka's got to be physical in that zone. And I think would be kind of very much a like-for-like replacement. But his contract expires in 2025 with an option to 2026. So could be relatively expensive. But then on the flip side, Atalanta are set to miss out on the Champions League. So you could be getting a very good technical Dutch midfielder for a cheap fee in there for Arsenal. Moving to French options. Again, the French League is a great place to recruit players. Enzo Lefebvre is the kind of man of the moment, not only for his defensive work rate. He's won the third most tackles in Liga this season with 103, and we know that translates to the Premier League, but also his ability to play make, to dribble. He's got the 6th most dribbles in Liga. He's created 40 more chances than any other Lorient player this season, and his contract expires in 2024. I think could be really smart business for Arsenal or any club that's kind of signs him. He is Premier League ready. What you want from a modern playmaker is that ability to win tackles, the ability to play make, to get on the ball. And I think the big thing that I like about Enzo is he's played very, very well against PSG in both of the games this season. The second time he played them, scored 2 shots, completed 100% of his 3 dribbles, 2 chances created, won 3 out of his 5 tackles. He's ready for that step up and could be a top player for Arsenal, a bit of a roaming playmaker, would suit that kind of low-high role in the Arsenal team that is required of that number 8 position. I think he would be absolutely fantastic. Whoever signs him is going to get an absolute world beater on the cheap. But let's talk about kind of outside the box thinking. We like to do that on the channel. One player that we could suggest, Rafael Guerreiro. Played a lot of his football for Borussia Dortmund as a kind of attacking, complete left wing-back. But this season has also played in central midfield. So you could operate with both Zinchenko and Rafa Guerreiro on that left-hand side. Again, giving real fluidity to that channel where Guerreiro and Zinchenko could very much interchange positions. You're looking at a player that is technically absolutely superb, that's got great experience at 9 years old, isn't going to accept Dortmund's new contract, so will be available on a free transfer. And I think when you look at if he's capable of playing that central midfield role, he had a cracking game in the Bundesliga against Cologne, where he completely excelled in that central area. So if you're looking at players that are capable of playing these kind of new tactical hybrid roles where at times they play wide, at times they play in defensive midfield, he's a player that can do that, and this season's been one of his best in terms of just overall assists. 12 assists in the Bundesliga this season, 3 goals scored as well. It is that capability, and we talk about that game where he played central midfield against Cologne. Absolutely fantastic statistics. 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 chances created, 1 big chance, 1 shot, 2 out of 2 of his tackles won. And it's very much kind of for Borussia Dortmund playing that kind of hybrid wide central role. We can see number 13 actually in an attacking midfield zone. So it would be a little bit of outside the box, but available on a free transfer. I think would be a good signing for Arsenal independent, especially if Kieran Tierney moves, joins a Manchester City or a likewise side. Signing someone like Rafa Guerreiro would be great depth for Arsenal. And that's the big thing Arsenal need to do. They need to sign quality, be it a Declan Rice or a Caicedo, and then bring those players in that will improve the squad. Guerreiro, not only could play that role, but if, the likes of Declan Rice kind of join Arsenal, Guerreiro would be fantastic at that inverted fullback role as well, which could give you, the idea to play Zinchenko, rotate him a little bit more, but also play him maybe in a higher position. I think Guerreiro would be a perfect signing for Arsenal and could definitely facilitate this centre midfield role, but also the left back role in there. But anyway, guys, Arsenal, of course, a frustrating end to the season. Very disappointing results in the Premier League, and I think it's time to look at the next kind of step for them. How do they get past the likes of Nottingham Forest, a deep block next season? Is this movement from midfield where there's an area for improvement? Granit Xhaka, 0 chances created, 0 shots on goal, 0 dribbles against Nottingham Forest. That's where the upgrade needs to happen. But anyway, guys, of course, make sure you subscribe if you're new. Premier League review every Monday. Part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow. Make sure you stay tuned for that. We're going to be looking at Lee Kangin. It's going to be exciting for Manchester United, so subscribe for that. But anyway, guys, check out all of our stuff on the Statman Dave channel as well. Again, we've got 3 players that Arsenal need to sign for them to be title challengers next season. Of course, subscribe to this channel as well, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.